Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's wait for 5 more minutes. Let more people join, and we'll start.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can start. So, do you have any doubts from week 3?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, let's take the doubts first.
Can I ask in हिंदी?
Okay, yeah, sure.
मैम एक्चुअली मुझे टॉपिक्स तो समझ आ रहे हैं, मतलब इटरेशन फ्लो चार्ट सब चीज़, लेकिन जब स्यूडो कोड के फॉर्म आ रहा है तो टॉपिक भी समझ आया, लेकिन क्वेश्चंस में कैसे अप्लाई करें वो नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, क्योंकि मैंने बैकग्राउंड मेरा था नहीं कंप्यूटर साइंस में, तो मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा।
No, that is
मैम
okay.
सेम
See,
प्रॉब्लम से भी है।
no problem if you don't have background in computer science. See,
Yeah.
flowchart thing, if you're understanding how flowchart is working, that same thing is given in the form of
फॉर्म ऑफ
pseudocode. It's just a little more, I mean, less pictorial actually, and more code oriented. So when you go to pseudocode, the trick is that don't see the whole thing at once. You go line by line. Okay. Just see what is the first line doing, what is the second line doing. This is a good thing about any code is that they all come like there is a control flow. Okay. So let me take
यस मैम।
any one question for example, and I'll show you how you can make it easier. But before I do that, any particular questions in which you have doubt? Week 3.
नो Ma'am, the three price problem, that one.
Three price problem is the entire thing, like about week three. That I
Yes.
won't take as an example. That's a very big one. But any practice assignment doubts anyone has?
No, no, ma'am.
Was
Thank you.
practice assignment discussed? Can anyone tell me was the practice for
Yes,
week
sir.
three discussed?
Yes, sir. The
Okay.
doubt of BP was held tomorrow,
Okay.
yesterday.
Okay. Then I'll start week four only. But before that, let me just take one quick example for.
Ma'am, but excuse me, ma'am. Actually, we have not completed week 3. So if we could first discuss that and after that continue with week 4.
Week three was completed, right?
No,
Which part
ma'am.
is remaining?
Ma'am, actually, yesterday most of the questions were from week 2 and graded assignment. So we did only a little of week 3.
So week three, do you have doubts from week three?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Then you ask, yeah, where do you have doubts? Which question?
Yes, ma'am. Just a second.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. 1 second. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, I'll just take a simple question as example for those people who are having problem with pseudocode. Okay. See this one. Okay, this is a very simple problem. Now, this question is saying that the following pseudocode is executed using scores dataset. We all know scores dataset has a stack of cards, each of which represents a student's information. What do the cards have? They have a sequence number, they have the student's name, the city from which they belong, date of birth, all these things, and their marks in physics, chemistry, maths, and the total marks. Correct. This is the data. So it is asking what will be the value of variable z at the end of execution. So in this type of simple problem, see, just first look. In most pseudocodes, you will see the first thing that we do is initialize variables. Okay. And this is not just for pseudocode. In any programming language, when you're writing a program, firstly, we will define variables that we will use in the program. So here we are using 4 variables, some t, some m, some p, and some c. Okay. So all of them I first initialize to 0. Then second line, we see a while loop is starting. So this part now you're familiar with these two lines. What do these two lines do? Anyone?
Repeat the condition until there are more cards in pile 1.
Until pile 1 is empty, right? So we
Yes.
will iterate through all the cards. So there are 30 cards, I think. So 30 times this loop will iterate this whole thing. And inside the loop, every time I pick up a card, I will read the information. Read the top card X from pile 1. After that, what I will do? Step 4 is saying sum t equals to sum t plus X dot total. Similarly, for the other 3 variables also, they are just adding the total maths and physics and chemistry marks of the student. Once that is done, we move that card to pile 2. Okay. Now, those people who are having problem understanding pseudocode, you tell me, after I pick up one card and execute these steps, will I go to step 10?
No, ma'am.
What will I do? Again, go to step 2, right? I will iterate this whole thing until there are no more cards in pile 1. Okay. So
Yes,
at
ma'am.
the end of, just tell me, after step 9, once step 9 is done for the last time, for the last card, what are these 4 variables storing? Just at that point.
And total mark of subject of the student.
The sum of all the total marks, right? Sum of the total
Yes.
marks of all students, sum of maths marks of all students, similarly for physics and chemistry. Once that is done, then you come to step 10. Then see, variables can be initialized anywhere. Okay. So first we saw that in step 1, variables were initialized. Again in step 10, Z is initialized. So after that, actually what happens that sometimes when we are writing a code in real time, we do not know how many variables we will need, but we start with something, right? So initially we have some variables that we work with. Now as the program progresses, we might need some other variables. So you can initialize them at any point. Like in step 10, we initialize Z and assign it the value 0. Now step 11, it is saying if sum of these three by sum of total is greater than equal to 0, then z will be set to 1. And if it is less than equal to 1, then z will be set to -1. Right? So this is the question. So what is the
And
what
since both of these is if statement, then both condition will true. Because
see, I don't know
here
whether
one
it
is
will. Okay. So first z is 0, right? So sum of these three by sum of t. So I think for this question you need to go to the data set, right? Can you do it without the
no,
data
ma'am,
set?
because I know the value will be one, ma'am.
How do you know that? Tell me.
Because ma'am, particular heading left side and right side always there, because sum total will be to equal.
Exactly. That is the trick here. That we know that sum of total has to be greater than these three, right? Because total is the sum of these three for each student. So as I'm adding the total, this sum of see,
It
let me
will be
write
always
this.
equal to one, ma'am, because one is greater than zero since first state will be to correct, and one is equal to zero. Second statement is also correct. After
Exactly.
first statement, it is updated to one, and checking the second statement, it will be -1, and final value of z will be 0.
Yeah, you have correctly understood this. See, for those who didn't understand, now if some student has scored, let's say 10 in maths, 20 in physics, 30 in chemistry. Okay, then their total is what? 60. Let's just take this data. Okay. So if you do sum of all three by sum of t, then what happens? 60 by 60, right? Which is 1. So that is greater than equal to 0. So z is set to 1. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then we go to the next if statement. Again, same thing. But this is also again going to come 1 only, right? There is no change in this part. This part is same. So this is also 1. So z is again set to what? -1. So z is first set to 1, then set to -1. But what is the total final value at the end of execution? Which option?
0. A option.
Will it be A option? See correctly. Am I
And
adding
0
1
will
and
be
-1?
1 and -1.
1
It
and
will be
1.
Both,
-1,
ma'am.
right?
1 and
No,
1 is 1.
no. A
-1,
variable
ma'am.
can store only one value. It cannot store two values. Okay. So first z is set to 1.
Ma'am,
But at
-1
the
will
end of
be answer,
execution,
ma'am.
one
-1 will be answer, ma'am, because the
so
latest updated value is -1 since -1.
exactly. So wherever the latest update is happening. So first, this if statement, it is satisfied. So it sets z to 1. But after this, if statement will also be satisfying. So this will set z
Yes,
to
ma'am.
-1. So the last updated value of z is -1. So this is the answer, not 0.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, not 0, not 1.
We will take the last option. Done.
Last
Na?
updated value. Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
See, that's why it is written in the question at the end of execution. End is here, na? 15, 16 steps.
Yes,
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Okay, got it.
got it.
Clear? This is how you see. No matter how big the pseudocode is, just do line by line. It's not difficult. You just have to practice a little. Okay. Just go through PYQs more. Okay. Any particular doubts from week 3
Ma'am,
now?
can you upload this PDF into the chat box
PS
after the
solutions are
session
given to
of?
you, right?
Ma'am, from where do we solving this?
This is you just go to the practice assignments for every
Okay,
week.
week 2 or week 1, this one?
This is week 3.
Week 3. Okay, okay, got it. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Any particular doubts from week 3 now? Practice, activity, whatever.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have doubt in activity 3.4, question number 8 and
Okay.
1.
Yeah, let me share that one second. Yeah. Which activity did you say?
Ma'am, it's activity 3.4.
3.4. Okay.
Yes.
Which question?
Ma'am, the first question and the eighth question.
First see the question. Is this the same question that you have doubt in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, actually, in this question, it's like if A, B, C are three candidates, so which of the following are true? So, ma'am, the fourth will be true anyways. But the second one, like when we are giving prizes, although in the lecture, professor said that we'll actually see that at least one of them is a boy or two are girls like this. But if
Hmm.
you're doing it in general sense, then it is we just see who is the top scorer and
Yeah,
where
definitely.
we
See, this is not when I taught this, I also said that this is not a fair system. Okay, this criteria that one has to be a boy at least and one has to be a girl at least. But when we do it in real life, obviously we'll take the top three students, whoever they are, regardless of gender. But in case of this particular problem, these are the solutions.
Okay, so this is with reference to the lecture. So
Yeah,
therefore
this
we'll
is definitely, see, this three prizes problem is whenever we discuss this will have these three basic criteria for this course. But whenever you're doing it in real life, obviously this gender criteria doesn't count. Okay.
all right,
But
ma'am.
the three criteria, what it was, the first criteria was that they have to be total marks. They have to have scored the top three total marks in class. They have to have scored at least, they have to be among the toppers in one subject. And one of them has to be a boy, one of them has to be a girl. So second and fourth options. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, question number 8 also.
8 is this, right? Okay, this is a part question. Let's read it. So let us assume that we always compare a new card first with max 3, then with max 2, and finally with max 1. So new card is now picked up from the pile 1 that has max marks 95. Okay, this is, I think, part of this question.
Yes, ma'am.
So max 1, 2, and 3 are representing three variables, just like what we saw, max, second max, third max. So these are max 3 marks of mathematics, right? So max 1 is the highest, max 2, then max 3. Current values are what? 89, 78, and 67. So let us assume that we always compare a new card first with max 1, then with max 2, finally with max 3. So this was for this question. Now we are just asked to do the reverse. At first we pick up the card and we do the comparison with max 3. That is third max, we compare with it first. So the card we picked is 95, right? And max 3 is what? 67. Okay. So let's just solve all three of these. So first one is saying how many pairwise comparisons among the variables and cards are needed to update all the variables. Note that each pair,
I'm having trouble understanding this question. The how many pairwise comparisons? How do we understand that we
yeah,
need one or we need two comparisons?
yeah, let me explain. So it is saying that how many pairwise comparison among the variables and cards are needed to update all the variables. Note that each pair consists of a card and one of the three variables. Okay. So firstly, when I pick up a card, the marks is 95. I first do the comparison with max 3. Okay. So max 3 has 67. So there I see that 95 is greater than this. So what happens when max 3 has to be changed?
Yes.
Any person who has done this question can say, like explain how you did this. I already have the answer given, but you can explain.
You will compare this from any side, na? Either from
Yeah.
max 1 or from max 3.
Hmm.
Only 3 comparison it needed because after comparing the first max, you have the highest, then previous highest, then previous highest. After
Hmm.
comparing the lowest, then value after highest, then this value after highest max 1. Any
Basically, we
side,
have to compare with all max 1, max 2, max 3, right?
from any side, either
Yes.
from max
From any
1,
side.
either
That's
from
the
max
thing.
3.
Every time you pick up a card, you have to compare. We did those three criteria, na? That first you compare when we are doing with max 1. First you compare with max 1. Whether that is greater than max 1 or less than max 1, I don't care. I still have to compare with the next criteria, that whether it is greater than max 2 and less than max 1. Right.
Excuse
And
me, but actually here in the question it is mentioned that let us assume we always compare a new card first with max 3.
yeah. So if I
Yes.
compare it first with max 3, then what happens? Max 3 is 67 and this is 95. Right. Then
Yes.
67 is
Max
less.
3 max 3 value will be updated after
Max
and
3 is
max
updated. Yes.
max 3 value updated with max 2 and max 2 after 3 pair will
See, max 3 is now 95. Okay, once when we update max 3, what was the condition? Max 3 was usually the last condition we were checking, but now it is the first one. So does that mean that I am going to, if I change max 3, I have to change max 2?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Here, max 3 is less than 95. So, the
We will
condition will
update
be
max 3.
false.
So this condition itself is not satisfying.
Yeah. Then it will go to max 2.
Then
There
then how many comparisons are you doing? You're checking with
3.
all three, no?
Yeah.
Max 3, max 2,
Yes,
max
ma'am.
1. That's why 3 comparisons.
But if we
Yeah,
do
the
it with
wording.
max, but
Yeah, go on.
if the comparison order goes max 1, then max 2, then max 3. So if we just compare with max 1, then the comparison part is over. If
The
it comes
comparison
out
part
with
is
true.
over, but how was the code written? What was the pseudocode? That you first have the if condition for max 1, whether it is greater than max 1. If it is greater, then you change max 1, max 2, as well as max 3. Right.
Okay.
But still, the second condition, the second if, it is not a nested if. It is an independent if. So you have to go to that if also. You have to check
Hmm.
that condition also. Okay.
Okay.
So comparison you have to do, but update you will do only which comparison, whichever condition is satisfying. Only that one you will update, but comparison you have to do for all three.
And since we are comparing with lowest value, we have to also must compare with the highest two one because 3 comparison already will be there.
Yeah, like whichever side you compare from, you go through all the 3 criterias, like all 3 possibilities that can happen. See, this.
But ma'am, for suppose if it would have asked us to compare in an order like max 1, 2, and 3. So if we are first comparing with maximum 1, then the number that we have, it's 95 here, it is greater than max 1 value, so we'll replace it. So it's already greater than first max 1, and that max 1 was already greater than 2 and 3. So why will we compare it with 2 and 3 again? So
Because
there
that
will
is
be
how,
only.
see, that is how the code is written. These are independent if statements. Okay. So you cannot.
Because we don't know user has got how many marks. In this case, it's
Yeah, we
more
don't
than
know, right?
max 1.
In this case, the value is given to you, but when you are running the code, you don't know which number is being picked. So you have to run through all 3 conditions. I don't know where the update is happening. See, even if the first condition is true, that it is greater than max, and we did the update of all 3 variables, still the next 2 conditions I have to check until that they're not satisfying. Okay, if something is greater than max 1, then obviously it won't be less than max 1 and greater than max 2. But that second condition we have to check and see that it's not satisfying. Okay,
In a
and no change will
question,
happen.
only
Ma'am, I
order
think
is changing. So, we have to compare from max 3. In
Yeah,
previous question, we have to compare from max 1. Then
same
in
comparison
previous
number will be
question,
same.
yeah, ma'am, in previous comparison, we are comparing with max 1, then only 1 pair was there. And in this
yes,
comparison, 3
ma'am.
pair was there.
Ma'am,
Yes,
here
ma'am.
in
Actually, there was one previous question. I think it was question number 5, maybe, where they asked us to
After
5
making
or
update this one,
one of the questions. No, ma'am, it's question number 3, I
how
think.
many
How
pairwise
many
comparison
variables?
among the variables and cards are needed to update all the variables? Note that each
Yes,
pair
ma'am. So
consists.
here the answer is 1.
Okay, here it is saying that the answer is 1.
update all the
Ma'am,
variables.
here
To
sequence is
Needed to
update all the
update all
variables,
the
no?
variables.
ma'am, here
This
is
is the main thing. So, okay. Let me tell you. See, update all the variables is the main thing. Okay. Comparison is how many comparison we are doing. All 3 cases we have to check. But where is the update of variables happening? Here, 89 is the first one, right? And the first card that we pick is 95. Okay. So in the first comparison only we see that max 1 is less. So max 1 has to be updated. When max 1 is updated, then max 2 and max 3 are also updated. And next two if statements, when we go over there, then no updates will happen because those two statements are not correct, right? 95 is not less than 89 and greater than 78. Or max 3,
Ma'am,
it is
it
not.
is asking for how many pair as
Yeah.
comparison for
See, how
updating
many
the value.
pairwise comparison means what?
Means
How
three
is the
value.
comparison happening? First
In first
comparison, you are
comparison
checking
only
whether
you,
this.
you are updating.
Exactly. In the first comparison only you are updating. In the first comparison, you check this 95 mark with this 89 mark. Right. Max 1 you are checking with first. And since this is going to be valid, that 95 is greater than 89, so you have
Ma'am,
to
and
change max 1.
note is also there, ma'am. One pair of card will be must 95, another pair of card will be anything. For only first condition 95 will there. Then only one pair
Note
is true.
that each pair of a card and one of the three, each pair consists of a card and one of the three variables. Yeah, this is fine. So, see, every time you are
Max one
comparing,
is variable.
max 1 is one of the three variables, right? Max 1, max 2, max 3 are three variables, and your card is having 95 value. So first comparison is between 95 and 89, and that is the only time that the three variables are being updated. After that, when you do the next two comparisons, one between max 1 and max 2, one between max 2 and max 3.
No.
Okay. Then
Ma'am,
those two
three
won't
pair is
update anything.
ma'am, first pair will be 95 and 89, and second pair will be 89 and 78, and third pair will be 79 and 67. Then only 95 come in only one pair, na? That's why one is right, ma'am.
Come again, I did not get.
Ma'am, because you have to compare 95 with 89. Then you know
95 with
95
89 is fine, yeah.
then
Then
95 is greater, 89 is lowest. Then we have to compare 89 with 78. Then 89 is greater, come to second
they're
max.
not even following the pattern that we did in like the pseudocode. They're not following that. They have created a
They
new
are
problem.
following, ma'am. Let's
Oh, they
assume
are
we have
doing
to compare new
okay.
card
They are
from max 1
actually
and then max 2 and max 3.
they're actually
It
picking a
also there.
card and they're individually comparing with these variables. There is no condition that we were following previously. They're saying that, see, let us assume that
Ma'am,
we always
condition is
compare
also
new card
there. We have
first
to
with
compare.
max 1. No, what
Yes,
I was
ma'am.
saying is, see, wait. I was thinking that this question will go like this, that first max 1 and 95. My screen is visible.
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
explain
No,
It's
no,
it in
can you
Hindi?
see where I
Can
am writing?
I explain it in Hindi?
Yeah, first tell me, can you see where I'm writing? Or is the portal visible only?
yeah, ma'am.
Yeah,
Portal
ma'am.
only.
visible.
Okay, let me share the entire screen. 1 second. Okay, now,
Yes, ma'am. Now it's
yeah,
visible.
yeah, see. So I thought that they were following the rules of the three prizes problem, but this is a separate problem they have created. So here 95 is a card we picked. Okay. So first we are comparing with max 1 only. So previously what were the three conditions? One if statement was checking whether the card X's value is greater than max 1. Right. If so, then we were updating max 1, 2 and 3. Correct. Next, our condition was whether X was less than max 1 and greater than max 2. Right. Then we were updating which two? Max 2 and max 3.
And 3.
And last condition was whether it was less than max 2 and greater than max 3. Then which one we were updating? Only max 3. Correct. This is actually the three prizes problem. But this question is saying that 95 is a card which is only compared individually with max 1, max 2, max 3. So if it is first compared with max 1, which is 89. Okay. This is a pair. Max 1 and 95. That means 89 and 95. This is a pair within which we do the comparison. If we compare, then we see that 95 is greater. So here we will update what? Max 1 will become,
Max
what will
1.
max 1?
95.
95. Max 2 will
95.
become 89. Okay. And max 3 will become
No, ma'am.
78.
Max 2 will be not directly become 89. 89 must be compared with 78 to update the value. That's
No, there
why.
will be only one
That-
comparison. No. See, how many pairwise comparisons are you doing to update all the variables? Once max 1 changes, then max 2 and max 3 has to change because we know max
Yes,
1's previous value was 89. So that value has to now go to max 2 if
In
max 1 is
question,
changing.
it's given max 1 greater than max 2 greater than max
Yes,
3.
The
it
previous
is
max 1 value will be in max 2, na?
the previous max 1 value will go to max 2 and the previous max 2 value will go to max 3. So one comparison, but we are changing all three variables. Okay,
Ma'am, we are comparing only one, and
only one.
we are updating it, and anyhow we are updating 2 and 3 also.
Yes, because see, max
Yeah.
1, max 2, max 3 are storing the top three values.
Then
If the
what
top,
what
if
those
the first top value is changed, if the first top value is changed, the highest value is changed. That means the previous highest is now the second highest, and the second highest is now the third highest.
what
So
is
all
the
three have to
process
change.
called? Updating the 2 also, 2
Ma'am,
and 3.
ma'am, it is asking for only those pair where 95 is there, and 95 is only in first pair, ma'am. That's why the first option one pair
No,
is correct.
see, it is asking that each pair, how many pairwise comparisons among variables and cards are needed. Okay, so only one comparison here is needed, na, between 89 and 95. See, a new card is always compared with max 1 first. Then the card is compared with max 2. Then it is compared with max 3. If the new card was not 95, if it was, say, 85, then the first comparison is not giving anything that we don't have to update max 1 or max 2 or max 3.
Ma'am, in the question, they're asking clearly that need to update all the variables. So if we compare
Yes.
the 91 with max 1, then all other two will change. But if we are if second one is suppose like less than max 1, then we have to do 2 times comparison to update max 1, max 2, and max 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That if this one was 88, for instance, this 95 value was 88. Okay. Then once we compare with max one, so 89 and 88, this is one pair, but this is not updating anything. The next
Yes.
pair will be what? 78 and 88. This will update max 2 and max 3.
Yes.
Okay, but we need to update all three because the 95 value is greater than 89 also. That's why one comparison is needed. Only 89, 95 pair.
Yes, ma'am. Max 2 and max 3 will automatically update it if
Yeah,
it will
if
change.
this one, first one is updated, if highest value is updated, then second and third highest will have to be updated.
Yes.
And this one is just doing the reverse. Okay, now it is comparing 95 with 67 first. So if it compares 95 with 67, okay, then 95 is greater than 67.
Then max 3 will become 95. Then max 3 compare with max 2. Then 95 also compare with max 2, ma'am. And max 2 compare with max 1. Then 95 also compare with max 1. That's why 3 pair is there.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to compare with all three variables now, right? So first with max 3, then with max 2, then with max 1. After you do all three comparisons, then you
No,
can.
ma'am, after comparing first max 3, then max 3 will automatically become 95. Then comparing max 3 with max 2, then max 2 will
No,
automatically become 95.
I think that when you do the comparison here, okay, we cannot change the value in like
Ma'am, your
instantly.
previous code was right, ma'am. The last page you did, and
Ma'am, but the
that was
order is
right.
no, from
This
max 3 it
code,
is starting.
That code was right, ma'am. That's
this
yes.
code, I don't think it is right here
It is
because
right,
then it
ma'am,
will.
because ma'am, listen here. Can I explain in Hindi?
Yeah, sure. Just tell me what
आप
your
यहाँ पे
process is.
आप यहाँ पे x को पहले मैक्स 1 से कंपेयर कर रही थी, तो हमें पता है x मैक्स 1 से ग्रेटर था। हम मैक्स 1 की वैल्यू अपडेट करके 95 कर दे रहे थे। उसके बाद हमारी जो मैक्स 1 थी मैक्स 2 में अपडेट हो जा रही थी। तो मैक्स 2 जो है उसका नेक्स्ट के साथ अपना कंपेयर कर रही थी। फिर उसके बाद मैक्स 2 इंक्रीज हो रहा था। फिर उसके बाद मैक्स 2 मैक्स 3 के साथ कंपेयर करके मैक्स 3 इंक्रीज हो रहा था, जिसमें 95 मेरा एक बार आ रहा था। लेकिन इसमें टोटल उल्टा हो जा रहा है। तो यहाँ पे मेरा मैक्स 3 पहले 95 अपडेट होगी, फिर जो
So that means here
मैक्स 3
in the
मैक्स 2
second
से
part,
कंपेयर करेगी।
what will be the first if statement? X greater than max 3, you're saying.
Yes, ma'am. Here it will be totally opposite. First card will
But
be
look
max
at the
3.
question now. Look at the
Mainly,
question. It is saying let us assume that we always compare a new card first with max 3, then with max 2, then with max 1.
Then
It is
with
not
max. Yes,
saying
yes,
ma'am.
this
And it
thing.
is
It is saying
reversing
individual comparison.
because ma'am max 3 is always 67, ma'am, because value of max 3 is given up
Yeah, but
after the question.
See, comparison means what? You're comparing with single variable.
Yeah,
You're
ma'am.
comparing just with max
We are
2.
comparing with 67. Then 67 is already less than 95. Then max 3 will be 95. And
See, the
max 3 will
comparison
be
will go
compared
like
with.
this, na? No. See, the thing is, if it was
And
what that
simple
code was
things is
doing,
there. 95 will be
Here max
visible in
3 condition will
all the
be
pair, ma'am.
false.
max 3
95
condition, see,
95 will be in all the pair. That's why 3 pair is
no.
because not
We
the
are
one.
not going to update until I see that max 1 is greater, that 95 is greater than max 1 itself.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If I see that max 3 is not less, if I see that
मैम
95
क्वेश्चन
is
में तो
greater
वही
than max
बोला
3.
है 95
मैम
जितने
कंडीशन
पेयर
में
में
तो
होगा
हाँ
वही
हाँ
उतने पेयर
मैम
काउंट
कंपेयर
होंगे
कर रहे हैं हम
कंडीशन
वो
एक्चुअली
तीनों
मैक्स
को
3 के
कंपेयर
हिसाब से
करते
दी
हैं
है
I
लेकिन
have like a
कंडीशन
very
ट्रू नहीं है इसीलिए
simple
हम
explanation to this. Like, can I explain this?
First, tell me one thing. Okay, let's stop all this. First, tell me one thing. Reading this question, is it written anywhere that I am using some range of values that between max 2 and max 3 or between max 1 and max 2? It is saying individual comparison with max 3, with max 2, with max 1.
यस मैम इंडिविजुअल
Okay,
कंपैरिजन
this is not the 3 prices problem. That is what I was also thinking in the beginning, that this is 3 prices. But this is different. So first I have to compare with max 3. If I see that it is greater than max 3, then I will check with max 2 also. Is it greater than max 2? No, it is also greater than max 2. So I will again check with max 1. I see that max, it is also greater than max 1. Now I will do the update. Okay, now if I update max 1, then I have to change max 2. Then I have to change max 3 also. So after I do these 3 comparisons, then I will do the updates. That's why 3 pairwise comparisons are needed before all 3 are updated.
yeah I mean both the order all three variable must to update मैम
For 95, you need one comparison just with max 1 in the previous question. Since we were starting with max 1.
After doing the comparison, shall we just stop the comparison? Is there anything which
Look,
is written
no
there?
no
easy,
no
easy way
मैम
of
there will be
understanding this.
also three comparison मैम but 94 will be not in all of three मैम but here here is also
Pairwise
three comparison
comparison. See, how many pairwise comparison? It has to be, the answer is 1. No? Why is it 1? Because after doing, when we compare with max 1, when we compare with the highest value, then we know
yes
that if that condition satisfies, then obviously the next 2 values I have to change. So here only after one comparison I can change all the values. But when I reverse this condition, when I'm checking with max 3, then I have to compare with max 2 and max 1 and check that which one is it greater than. If it is greater than max 2 but less than max 1, okay, then I can update the value right after this comparison. But since it is greater than max 1 also, so after that only I will update all 3 na. So here I need 3 pairwise comparison. One is 95 18, first comparison is 95 67, then 95 78, then 95
yes
89. This is what I'm saying.
individually
Individually,
and
not
ma'am you
that
must
thing.
one thing there 95 is up in all of them all of three pair ma'am
Yeah,
95
but that is the
that is
card,
also
right?
point ma'am note that each one pair is the card and other pair will
Yeah.
any of the
So,
three variable
so it is that, no, that is what I'm doing. The first 95 is the card, and max 3 is one variable. That is one pair.
Ma'am, once you could check your chat box.
Maybe the wording is little confusing in this one, but
Excuse me, ma'am.
this one, this is a separate question or? This is what you have done. See, 95 is greater than 89. So we update max 1 to 95, max 2 to 89, max 3 to 78. This is what I'm saying. But this is one comparison. This is giving this. But when we do it in the reverse way, then what happens? I have to compare with max 3. Then I have to compare with max 2. And if I see that 95 is greater than max 2 also, then I have to compare with max 1 to make sure that it is not the highest value. If it is the highest value, then I need 3 comparisons. After comparing with max 1, then only I can update. This is the pairwise comparison. 95 is the card, max 1, max 2, max 3 are the variables.
ma'am can
See.
I explain here
Yeah.
ma'am in this question that after max 3 is lowest card ma'am we are comparing 95 with max 3 Then we know 95 is greater than max 3. Then we update max 3 with
No,
95.
this is the thing. You are not going to update max 3 because update, what do we know?
Only we have to compare that, not changing the value.
Just compare. The
Ma'am,
change
here
will happen after you
All the
see
operation.
how many pairwise comparison to update all the variables.
ma'am, it is
If
a
you
part
update
of
there,
question how many pairwise comparison, but card are need to update all of the variable. It is also given, ma'am.
if you
We have,
directly update max 3 to 95, then we lose that value. Or
yeah,
if you
ma'am,
directly update max
we
2
have
to
to
95.
also organize that value to other previous cells, ma'am. Max 2 and max 3, max 1.
So
We have to check
the
also
main
this
question
condition.
is what? You have to check with all three variables na 95 before
Yeah,
you
ma'am.
update them. So how many comparisons are happening? That's the question.
Yeah, ma'am. In first question they are saying
But
95 comparing.
first question you do not need three comparisons. Na first question you need only one comparison.
Max 3
Max 1
comparison
only.
is max 3 is greater than
Once you see that
67.
95 is greater than 89, it has to be greater than the next two. So no need to compare these two. Once you
Yeah,
update
ma'am.
max
This is
1,
also
max 2
correct,
and
ma'am.
max 3.
Automatically
Right?
they will update, ma'am,
Yes.
because if
So
first
only
value
one
is greater.
comparison is enough. But here you have to do all three before you update.
Because we are comparing with least value, then we have to also compare
Correct.
with the
Least and then we are going in ascending order.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why 3 pair is there.
See, she is asking question 8.
Excuse me,
After
ma'am.
making
Yes,
this,
ma'am. Ma'am, actually, it was my doubt question number 8, but I think I understood it. So I'll just explain it to you once. Like when we have updated all the values and we have to go in an order like max 3, 2, and 1. So since 50 marks are already it is less than max 3, so we'll only compare once. Now since it is lesser than max 3, then
Ma'am,
we are not going to compare it to next two values, and hence we'll have only one comparison.
wait, just
ma'am,
let
since
me
we
read
already
this
know
one more time.
list value is 67 and 50 is already less than 50, 67.
Ma'am,
Then we
No,
have not compare any.
after we do this, okay, this question 6, after we complete, then max 1 is 95, max 2 is 89, max 3 is 78. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
that means the total happens to be 262, correct?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
this the total coming? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, they're asking that after making this update, another card comes up with 50 as the max marks. Now, how many pairwise comparisons are needed to update all variables? But here we are starting comparison with least value. So since 50 is less than 78, so it has to be less than the other two, which are greater than 78.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
only one comparison is enough.
Yes, ma'am. That was what I was trying to say. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this will be correct. Ma'am, I have doubt in other activity also. Just a second.
Yeah. This activity 3.4, any other doubts?
No, ma'am. But in the practice session, ma'am, the question number 5 is I'm having the doubt.
Practice question number 5. Okay, let's do that quickly. This one.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This one.
Okay, let's see. This is saying that the following pseudocode is executed using scores dataset. Assume that the variable average P holds the average physics marks. Okay. So what will be the values of count A, count B, count C, and count D at the end of execution? Fractions can be rounded to nearest integer. Okay. So 50.1 and 50.9 both can be rounded to 51. Okay. But 50.1 nearest integer is 50.
Ma'am, they are assuming, ma'am. They are assuming. If
Okay.
any decimal value is there, they will update.
Then we go to the next
next
number. Okay,
Yes.
fine. So the code is saying average P is 73. Okay, we have assigned 73 to average physics marks. Mid 2 is 1.25. That is 25% more than average P.
Here, what is the mid 2 means?
Mid 2
This
is
is some variable.
1.25 into 73. That
Oh,
value
it's a new variable.
These are just some new variables. I also don't know what it means. Okay.
Okay,
Let's
okay, okay.
see. Then mid 1 is also doing this 0.75 into average P. Then count A, count B, count C, count D are all initialized to 0. Now the code starts with while loop. Pick up every card. If gender is F, that is only for females we are checking. If the gender is not F, no need to do all this nested. You just move it to file 2. and pick the next card. Okay, so only for females, that is one thing we know. What we are checking is if the physics marks is greater than equal to mid 2. If so, then count A increases by 1. If it is less than mid 2, greater than equals to average P. Okay. Then count B increases. If it is less than average P, greater than equal to mid 1, then count C increases. If it is less than mid 1, then count D increases. So see
Ma'am,
this is
we have
better.
to
I will show you
compare
like
from
this.
the card, ma'am.
Yeah, for this you have to go and get the. Okay, let me just show you this one still.
And this
You
is
have
a
to
mathematical question only for the girls part.
Yeah, you actually just have to do this 1.25 multiplication, find the value for mid 1 and mid 2 by doing this 0.75 multiplication also. And then for every card, you have to check actually that for which card numbers, which count is increasing. Okay, this is nothing. You just have to do a mathematical just comparison that which value is greater. So you first have to compute the values. So for this, you have to go through the data set. Okay. This is actually nothing to solve.
Ma'am, we have to compare with
Yeah.
three
See,
values.
one thing you have to do is just calculate first mid 1, mid 2, and then you have to pick up all the female cards and check that whose physics marks is greater than which. That is all these 4 conditions you have to check. Okay, and only one of these will remain true for some card, I guess.
Ma'am,
So
all value will be different. Count A will be something, count B will be something.
yeah, all values will be might be different. I don't know. I have to go through the data set for that. But this is not. It's just
Okay,
a
ma'am, got
mathematical
it.
test.
We have to only use the data set in the portal, right?
Yeah, yeah. See, in the
91
solution also it is
and ma'am,
given.
one thing is more there, 91.25 is 92,
Got
ma'am.
it, got it.
Huh.
We have to update.
Anything that you get a
Thank you.
decimal value, just go to the next value. Okay, activity, which one did you say? Some other activity?
Ma'am, activity 3.3, question number 3, 4, and 7, facing drop.
3.3. This question.
Yes, ma'am, 3, 4, and 7.
Yeah, okay. See, high frequency and long words are what? What are long words? What are short words? Any idea?
Yeah, ma'am.
Ma'am, 6,
Long word are
letter count
greater
with
than
6 or
5.
greater than 6. So
Greater than 6.
Is greater than 6, right? Any word having greater than 6 number of letters is a long word. Anything having equal to or less than 6 is a short word. Correct? So they are saying high frequency means which occurs more.
More than one.
Okay. Yeah. High frequency means which occurs like a greater number of times. So there are 4 things given to you. High frequency and long words. There is some paragraph with 100 words in it. High frequency.
4 variable is there. High frequency and low frequency.
Yes.
Word
6.
and short word.
So all of these 4 variables values are given to you. Okay.
Yeah,
you have a
ma'am.
paragraph having 100 words. First
Low
value is.
frequency means value have 1 or greater than. Greater
Yeah.
than 1 means high frequency and 1 is low frequency. And short word means less than 6 or. And
excuse me, Rahul, can you please let ma'am explain the question, please?
See, high frequency and long means that this word is greater than 6 characters and it is occurring many times. Okay. There are 20 such words. Then low frequency and long means these are long words which are occurring less. There are 2 such words. High frequency and short means these are words having 6 or less characters but occurring more. So 60 such words, and low frequency and short is words having less than or equal to 6 characters but occurring less. So these are the data given to me. See, the total is 100. Okay, total 100 words are there. So the question is asking what percentage of the high frequency words confirm the hypothesis that high frequency words are short. So we have a hypothesis that high frequency words should be short. See, even in normal English language, this happens that short words appear more, right? Like the word the, the. This appears more often than some 10-letter long word, let's say. So this is our hypothesis. So what percentage of high frequency words will confirm our hypothesis? So high frequency and long words are how many? 20. Okay. 20 such words are there. High frequency and long, I'm saying. High frequency words, what percentage of high frequency words confirm the hypothesis that high frequency words are short? Okay, so high frequency long is 20, high frequency short is 60. Okay, so total number of high frequency words is how many?
80.
80. Yes, ma'am.
80 out of these high frequency short words are how many? 60. So
60.
60 by 80 into 100 is the percentage that is confirming your hypothesis.
60 by 80 into 100.
Yeah, and that is what percentage? 75 percentage. You know that 25% of 80 is 20, right? So 60 will be 75%. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
When you do this type of question, you have to take, since our hypothesis is based on high frequency words, so take the sum of high frequency words, 20 and 60. Okay, ignore the low frequency ones. But our hypothesis is saying high frequency words are short. So this should be the one that is on the top of the fraction. So 60 by 8. Okay, that is 60 high frequency short by total high frequency words.
Yes, ma'am.
Second, this one is also similar. See, what percentage of low frequency words reject the hypothesis that low frequency words are long? That means we now want to reject the hypothesis. So low frequency words are long. How many total low frequency words are there? 20. Okay, but low frequency long words are 2 and low frequency short words are 18. And we want to show what percentage is rejecting that low frequency is long. That means low frequency short is the one that is rejecting, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We need to reject.
18 by
So
20
18 by 20 into 100. So 90%. Question 7, this one, right? Please check the question. Is this the same one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
This is
ma'am, this.
Okay.
This has
We
already
plan-
taught, ma'am. Explain this already.
We plan to have a 3-way classification for both frequency and length. Okay. So now, till now, we were having a 2-way classification. Okay. Either high and low frequency or long and short words. But now we want to add one more variable to it, which is medium. Okay. So high frequency, medium frequency, low frequency, and long word, medium word, short word. It will be like this now. Okay. So now there is a medium frequency in addition to high and low, and also there is a medium length in addition to long and short. Now, given this setup, how many variables would we need to maintain to keep track of word counts for different combinations? This is very easy. Just do a 3 cross 3.
Yeah, ma'am, 3 class. For single frequency, 3 length will be there.
Just like how many combinations can be there? There can be a high frequency long word, high frequency short word, high frequency medium word. Similarly,
Yeah,
for
ma'am.
medium frequency long word, short word, medium word, low frequency long word, short word, medium word.
Yeah.
So just a 3 cross 3. So 9 variables. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Understood. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other activity?
Ma'am, 3.2. Activity
3.2.
3.2. Second and fifth question.
Okay. Second is this one. Consider the scenario discussed in lecture where 29 of the 30 students score 50 marks, while exactly one student has a score of 100. So how many students have a score below the class average in maths for this special case? See, this is a very easy question actually. 29 people, we know 50 marks they have scored. One person has scored 100. So you can easily find the average. Okay. What is the average? 29 into 50 plus 100 by 30.
Above 50. Something
So
above 50.
Yeah, exactly. So the average will be above 50 because one person has scored a very high mark. Okay.
More than 50.
But this thing actually is a very nice example of how a skew in data can appear just even by one person, even though the other 29 people have scored same. Okay. So the average will be above 50, which means 29 people have scored below average now. If you want, just calculate this thing. This should be 45. 145.
It is 51.667.
51.66. So that means these people who have scored 50 marks are all now below average. So 29 people are below average, right? Do you understand whose question this was?
Yes, ma'am. थोड़ा
नहीं, let's थोड़ा नहीं पूरा समझना है. देखो, 29 people scored 50. Okay, let me write this. There are 30 people in my class. Okay, 29 scored 50 marks. One person scored 100 marks. What is the formula for average? Total. That means sum by total number of people. Correct. So what is the sum? 29 into 50 is the total marks scored by these people. Right? This is how much? 1450.
450.
Okay. and one person has scored 100. So what is the total sum of scores? 1550, right? This is the sum. What do I divide it with? You tell me whose question it was. What do I divide this with to find the average?
30.
30. So this is giving what? 5, 1 point some 66. This will be a recurring one. Okay. So this is my average. Is the average calculation clear to you? Who asked this? Who asked this question? Some girl asked.
Ma'am,
Yeah, just tell me. Don't be scared. Just tell me. Is the average calculation clear to you?
yes ma'am, clear है.
So if average is 51.66, then how many people are scoring below average?
29.
Right? 29 people scored 50 and average is 51.66. So they are all below average now. That's why 29 is the answer. Okay.
Yes ma'am. Ma'am, fifth question भी है.
This one. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Consider a variant of the scores data set with the minimum and maximum values set to minimum is 50 and maximum is 99. This is a different, we just created a different variant of the same data set. Okay. We decide to offer 5 grades A, B, C, D, E, where A is the highest and E is the lowest grade. What would be the range of scores associated with a D grade? Assume that the interval size is same for all grades. So we all know that in school we had some intervals, right, to get grades. That if you get below 60, you are fail. If you get, like in this scenario, let's say since minimum is 50, maximum is 99.
Ma'am, this is slightly different interval. We have to
Yeah.
include both upper and lower limit both.
See,
in
the
the
first
interval.
thing you say is that let's say everyone who has scored below 50 is failing. Okay. Only people who have scored above 50 and in the range of 50 to 99 will be assigned some grades. And there are 5 grades that I can assign, but I have to remember that the interval size should be same for all grades. So just look at it in this way. 50 to 99 is my range. How many numbers are there between 50 and 99? Including 50 and 99.
50
How many
numbers,
numbers?
50 number.
50 different numbers are there, right? Now, if I have to form range for 5 different grades A, B, C, D, E, and 50 numbers are there, that means if I want to give them all equal intervals, each should have a 10 interval range, right? So I can give E should be the lowest. So let's start with 50. So 50 to 59 should be E's range. Okay. 60 to 69 should be D's range. 70 to 79 should be C's range. 80 to 89 should be B's range. And 90 to 99 should be A's range. So D is what? 60 to 69. Okay. That's why this is the answer.
And
Is
here
this
we
clear?
include both the upper and lower
Yeah,
limit.
obviously. You will include both minimum, maximum.
Okay.
मैम ये range कैसे find किया? A, B, C, D, E की?
See, you know this much, right? That the grade has to be given to people who have scored between 50 and 99. 50 and 99 included.
Yes ma'am.
Okay. तो 50 से 99 तक कितने नंबर है? 50 नंबर है, including 50 and 99. Right?
Yes,
Count,
ma'am.
just count 50 to 99. There are 50 different numbers. And I have 5 grades that I need to assign ranges to. And it is given that the interval of range for every grade should be same. Well, E is having the minimum range and A is having the maximum range. So when I E se start kara, so where do I need to start? 50 I have to start, right? This is the minimum.
Yes ma'am.
So 50, then count 10 numbers. 50, 51, 52, 53, like this till 59, you will get 10 different numbers. So 50 to 59 is the range for E. Then the next 10 numbers are what? 60 to 69. They are the range for D. Next 10 numbers 70 to 79. Like this. Okay.
Yes ma'am.
Clear?
Ma'am, question third भी. Question third, ma'am, pseudo code थोड़ा समझ नहीं आया ma'am.
This one. Okay.
If
Ma'am, these
if
question are ma'am
gender, female, and
cleared
F
in the ma'am
less
previous
than
class. Ma'am.
X.
All right. Just let me take this last one. Okay. Then we will go to some practice assignment doubts. If you have. See. Actually, if someone has a problem, I have to clear that now. Even if this was discussed. See. Assume that we have computed the average math marks and stored it in a variable called average. Okay. So average maths marks is calculated and stored in a variable called AVG. Now consider the following pseudocode. These questions you are having doubts in because you are not familiar or comfortable with pseudocode. So practice more questions on that. See, first count is set to 0. Then while loop starts. So we go through all the cards in this iteration. First pick a card from pile 1, read it, move it to pile 2. If the card has gender F and the average is the maths marks scored by that person is greater than the average maths marks, then count is increased by 1. So it's very simple. Two conditions are there. The gender has to be female and the average has to be greater than math average. Only then count is increasing. So it stores number of girls who have scored above average in math.
मैम
Right.
थोड़ा ये ऑप्शन समझ नहीं आ रहे मैम अबो और बिलो का नहीं
What is count
लेस
storing?
देन का साइन है ना एवरेज लेस देन मैथ स्कोर
Yeah, above means greater than average. Below means less than average. Okay. And the condition is checking that if the maths marks is greater than average, then count is increasing. So it is number of girls who have scored above average. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, any more activity questions from week 3?
Yes,
Ma'am, I have a
3.4.
doubt in activity 3.8.
3.4 also.
Am I audible? Hello.
Yeah.
Question number 5.
This one. Okay,
Yes,
subject
ma'am.
topper. So for some arbitrary card, we execute the following statements. What would be the return values when read from top to bottom? So subject topper is that procedure that we were doing to find the top 3 whether someone is among the top 3 people in a subject, right? So X is what? X is the marks scored by that person. Okay. And the next 3 values are what? The top 3 values in that subject, I think. Correct?
Yes.
So we have to execute these statements in this order. Okay. So for some arbitrary card X, is X a subject topper if all 3 top marks are 0? So can anyone
No,
score a
ma'am.
negative? Every person's score is positive, right? Whatever they
Yes.
have scored, it is positive. So if all 3 top marks are 0, first tell me in subject topper procedure, what were the arguments? I have to open that to check this one.
And these are the marks of physics, chemistry, and math.
Just
Highest
1
marks.
second. This was in which lecture? I just want to make sure once. This anyone has a pseudocode for this?
And this is in the lecture week 3, I think 3.5 lecture.
3.5 no? I think so. 3.5 no, I think this is in
Ma'am, it is in 3.8.
Yeah, 3.8. Correct. See, here that subject topper thing is there. Top 3 marks. See, this is subject topper. Okay. So subject topper, yes, we were taking the third highest from each subject because if they're greater than third highest or equal to third highest, then they have to be among the toppers, right? This was the thing. So here X is the marks, is the card, okay, for which we are checking some students' card. And they are saying that the third highest in all 3 subjects is 0. Just the first line, check. So if the third highest is 0 in all 3 subjects, then this one has to be true, that X is a topper, right? Because no one can score less than 0, na?
Okay, ma'am.
So the first one is true. Second is saying that subject topper X. So first, I think whichever subject you pass, let's say physics, chemistry, math, something. So there the third highest is 100. Third highest itself is 100. And the rest 2 subjects, third highest is 0. So for this, what will happen? It will still be true. Why? Because this person is a topper in one subject at least. since for both subjects the top marks is third highest is 0. Okay, that means even if this person scored 0, still they are a topper. And if they scored anything greater than 0, let's say the first mark is for third highest in math, then third highest in physics, and third highest in chemistry. So even if this person has not scored 100 in math, but has scored, let's say, 5 in chemistry, still this person is a subject topper in chemistry because it is greater than the third highest. Right? So second
Yes.
option also returns true. Similarly for third, basically the thing here is that even if one of the third highest marks is 0, the person is a subject topper. Because then every person in that class is a subject topper for that subject. Okay. Because this means what? That maybe 2 people scored above 0. And the third highest is 0. That means everyone other than 2 people have scored 0. So everyone can be the third highest person. Right?
Yes, ma'am. So in this question, each of the cases
Should be
is
true,
taken
true.
individually.
Yes. They're saying that what would be the return values when read from top to bottom. I think it should be this. Let's check one. Yeah, see, this is all true.
Professor has already told when
Okay,
they
ma'am.
have in a top 3 at least they have to top in one subject because
Yeah.
one subject all topper is 0, then they have already top in one subject.
Yeah, then everyone is topping that subject. Exactly.
That's why there's all this.
Yeah, next question, activity.
3.4, ma'am.
3.4, which question?
8th question.
Sorry, this is the lecture. 8th question. I already explained this one just now.
मैम उसी में कंफ्यूजन है मैम इसमें एक्चुअली दिया है 50 अगर न्यू कार्ड आया है 50 मार्क्स का तो वो अपडेट करेंगे तब ना वो बताएंगे कि कितना
read the question after making this update, that is after we did these things. Okay,
yes ma'am,
all these things we have done, then another card comes up with 50 as maths marks. How many pairwise comparisons are needed to update all variables? तो यहाँ पे आप max 3 से start कर रहे हो ना comparison, so you are starting with the least value. So max 3 is
Yes, ma'am.
containing 67. Okay, so 50 is less than 67. If 50 is less than max 3, so 50 is automatically less than max 2 and max 1.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
only one comparison is enough because 50, when this card comes, no update will happen actually. So one comparison
Yes,
is
ma'am,
enough
तो
to tell you that.
कंपैरिजन तो कंपैरिजन कैसे काउंट होगा जब अपडेट ही नहीं हुआ कोई वेरिएबल इसमें
Update
बोला
नहीं
जब
हुआ, so
अपडेट होगा
this
तब ना
is
होगा
also an information you're getting, na, that no update is required. But after how many comparisons are you getting that information? After one. Doesn't mean
Yes,
that everything is up. You have to update. Even getting this information that there is no need to update is an update. You can think of it like this. Okay, so one comparison is
Okay.
enough.
Okay.
Other question? Activity?
Ma'am, activity 3.9. Ma'am, this question is held previous class, but I did not understand it. Ma'am, question
Which
number
one?
3. Ma'am, activity 3.9, question number 3.
This one.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are some arbitrary procedures given, procedure 1 and procedure 2 with arguments A and B. Both procedures accept a pair of integers and return the same value when a given pair of arguments are passed to them. Okay, so both procedures are taking some pair of integers A and B and they return the same value when a pair of arguments are passed to them. That is, they are functionally identical. So both of these procedures perform the same thing. Okay. In addition, both procedures produce identical side effects. So which of the following is true? That means
Implementation is to
implementation has to be same.
Yeah,
If they're functionally identical, that means they're
then
similarly
they're-
implemented, but the interface could be different.
when they are taking same input, then they will also give the same update and side effect will be also same. Then
If
that's
side
why
effect is same and result is same,
And
and they're
taking-
already saying that they're functionally identical, that means implementation of both procedures is same. Okay, but they could have different interfaces.
yeah, ma'am.
See, this first option is wrong. That both have same interface. We cannot say that. We don't know what the procedures are. We don't know what interface it is. But they're saying that could have different implementations. If they had different implementations, then they would not have the same side effects.
Ma'am, interface means
Ma'am, but the answer is first one, ma'am.
First one. 1 second, let me check.
No, man.
This
Second
is the
round.
first. Both of them have same interface with different implementation, but I don't think this is correct. Implementation. 1 second. Let me check this. I think this is the last one, no?
Last lecture, man.
3.9 side effects of procedures. Actually,
And
from this part we never ask any questions. So this
yeah, I mean,
part
this is
we
last
also.
and we can't.
Okay, let me still check one since this is part of the lecture. Is it given what these things?
Ma'am, in lecture it is.
Interface
Ma'am, in
C.
lecture it is already given, ma'am.
Procedure. I cannot hear you. Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, ma'am. Interface will be same and implementation will be different, ma'am. Because
Just let me go
interface.
through this one because we actually never covered this lecture because
Ma'am, you have to
questions
see
are
that
not.
lecture for this, ma'am.
No, what
Interface
I
and
know
yeah,
is that
ma'am. This
see,
is
if there are two, what I know is since we do coding, so we know that if there are two different functions, okay. Just I'm saying basic in general thing. If there are two different functions which are doing the exact same thing, okay, which are doing the exact same thing, but there can be two different implementations, okay. Like if I want to find the factorial problem, okay, just a simple example. If I want to find what is n factorial, okay, so I can write this program in two ways. One way is the iterative way, one way is the recursive way. Okay, iterative way means that I go one by one, and recursive means there are function calls. Okay, I think you know this, right?
yeah, ma'am. First is
Iteration and
by
recursion.
making the loop
So
and second is by
implementation is
direct.
different, but they are both giving the same result, but they are having different side effects. Which way is faster, iterative or recursive?
Ma'am, loop will be faster and that value by value will be
So,
slow.
so they are both having this difference in side effect, right?
Yeah, ma'am. They will
But
time
implementations are different.
complexity will be different, ma'am, for both.
So implementation is different and interface is same. Yeah, this is correct.
Yeah,
This
ma'am.
is correct.
Professor already told for any.
This lecture, I need to watch this lecture because we never teach this part since questions don't come from here. But yeah, this is a good question actually. Both of them have the same interface but could have different implementations. See, implementation means what? That doing the same procedure in different methods. Like I said, factorial problem can be done in two different ways. There are other problems also, like whenever I don't know if you know this problem. There is a Fibonacci series. There's something called a Fibonacci series. Okay, you can explore that problem. That also can be done in different ways. Okay.
मैम
So, but
इंटरफेस सेम
when
होगा क्योंकि प्रोफेसर ने वहाँ बोला था हम उसे पाइल वन को एक मान लो एक सीरियल अकॉर्डिंग में देंगे तो हमें उल्टा देगा रिटर्न करेगा पाइल टू में अगर हम असेंडिंग ऑर्डर में देते हैं तो हमें पाइल टू में डिसेंडिंग ऑर्डर में देगा
correct,
हमारा ये
this
भी
is
चेंज
true.
होगा
ये भी change होगा. Like if pile 1 itself is sorted in ascending order, so you are reading the cards in that order, na, and you are moving the card to pile 2 after you read a single card. So in that order, if you move it to pile 2, once you reach to pile 2, it is now changed to ascending order because
प्रो
now the
वन
highest card is on top.
एंड प्रो वन एंड प्रो टू में दोनों में हमारा चेंज होगा ऑर्डर इसीलिए दोनों में हमारा ऑर्डर चेंज होने का वो सेम है
But
इसलिए
implementation different हो जाएगा.
डिफरेंट हो
But the
जाएगा
interface will remain same.
remain same yeah man that's why
Okay. Any other activity question?
Excuse me.
इसके लिए लास्ट लेक्चर देखना पड़ेगा
Yes.
ध्यान से
Go on.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yes, actually, today is not summary session, is it? Week 3?
Week 3 summary. See, actually, we have discussed all the theory and practice. So I'm just taking the doubts. Summary, we don't have any such other like summary separate session. Okay. In the doubts only the things are discussed. But if you want any particular topic to be repeated, I can do that.
So week 3 doesn't have any summary session.
Like summary session, what do you mean that we need to give a little revise of all the topics that you are asking?
Yes, of course. Every week we do have summer. Last week we do have a week 2 summary session. This week
Like
I
summary
hope
session, see, I think I was the one who took the week 2 last session. I don't
week 2 was
exactly
done
remember.
by no Piyush done
Piyush
the
sir
week.
did. Okay, so
Yes.
since the doubts were all cleared by then, that's why. So first I thought that I would take the doubts. Okay. Once the questions are clear, I will give you a little revision of all the important topics. Fine.
Okay, but usually you take the summary, then finally it will be doubt session. But now you are doing vice
Actually,
versa.
because this week has a lot of doubts every term. That's why I'm taking the doubts first, because next class we have to start week 4 now. The revision won't take long. Okay.
Okay.
So any other doubts do you have in activity or practice anything? Or we will just go through the slides one more time, just a little revision. Any other
Excuse me,
doubts?
can we please do practice assignment? I mean,
Yeah, sure.
if
Which one do you have?
possible, yes, ma'am. I mean, if possible, all the questions. So,
All the questions. Okay. So before that, any particular question in PA anyone has a doubt? All right. So let's do the revision first. Okay. Let's just go through the important topics once, then we'll take a practice. Although I think practice was solved in the last session, but I will do some of them. Okay.
no, ma'am.
The
Actually,
last section.
ma'am,
Yeah,
in the
last
last
section.
session, we did not do the practice assignment, all the questions. Only, I think, 2 or 3 questions that someone had doubts in.
So what was done in last session? Because theory was covered in the first one only.
Ma'am,
Last
actually, the
session was
last
yesterday,
session,
right?
yes, ma'am, most questions were from week 2 and graded assignment of week 2.
See,
Yes.
The few from week 3.
this is actually not how it should be done, because this way we are going to fall behind. Okay, because week 2 doubts are completed in week 2. We're not going to, like, if you still have doubts in week 2, you can ask on the Google forums or Discourse, or if 1 or 2 questions are there, but if too many doubts are there, then the content doesn't get covered, right? So just try to maintain that thing. Okay, let's
No,
do
Yes, ma'am,
what she's
actually,
saying
some
is
other people had doubts in week 2, so it took a lot
right.
of.
I understand that, but it is better to complete 1 week's doubt in that week only. That's why I'm taking all the doubts today before the revision, so that we don't have to extend this to next week, because after this the weeks are going to get more difficult. Now then we won't have time to complete the theory and take all the doubts if you also had the previous week doubts. Okay. Any doubt you have, you can always post and ask us. Even mail me if you have doubts. Okay.
Ma'am, since week is increasing from 1 to further, then you can't repeat from week 1, ma'am.
Yeah,
You
that's the
must,
thing. I cannot repeat
you,
from week 1.
you must come, you must, this problem you share with your comments and other
Let's
classmates.
just do a little summary of this thing. So in the first 3.1, we don't have actually much to summarize. It is just showing that we have these data sets, right? Shopping bills, scores, your Olympic data set, library, all these. So from these data sets, that is these cards that are given on the data sets, we can convert them into table, right? So how do we convert them to table? We first go through all the cards. We see what are the attributes of a card. Like, for example, in this shopping bills dataset card, what are the attributes? Anyone? Attributes are what? Column name, item, category, quantity.
Yeah,
These are all
items,
attributes.
categories,
So all these attributes you
yes.
place as the column name in your table. Okay. And whatever are the values for each card, you place them as rows. That is, this is one row. Okay, this is another row. This is another row. So this whole card is for whom? Like in this card. Okay. In this card, we can make 2 different tables. The first table has the info for the customer. That is, what is the card ID? What is the shop from which the customer is buying things? And what is the customer name? What is the total? This is one type of table you can draw. Another one is what? The item information. Right. So this one contains again the card ID, item names, category, quantity, price, cost. So this is how you quantify a card into a table. Okay. Similarly, like for the scores data set, if we go, this is the scores data set. Okay. If I want to organize this data into a table, what are the attributes? Name, gender, date of birth, town, city, maths, physics, chemistry, total. See, these are the columns. Okay. And what is a row having? All the information in those columns for one person. Right? Like here, the sequence number is 10, name is Kavya, like this. This is just 3.1 basic. Main thing that we should revise is the 3 prices problem. But before that, again, let's see what is the procedure. What is the procedure? First, tell me what is this thing called? So first we saw that how to convert from flowchart to pseudocode, right? How they are compatible. Like, can anyone tell me what is just some salient features of a flowchart? Any features you can tell me. Just try. You have learned flowcharts, no? You know what are the features.
Graphical representation.
It breaks down the program in a simple manner way.
Okay. And what is something that must be present in a flowchart?
Flow of data.
Flow of data and terminals.
Terminal.
Start terminal, end terminal,
Processing.
Terminals must be there.
Decision of
Start and stop.
Correct. Terminals must be there. Are there any start or stop things when we go to pseudocode?
No.
No terminals. Okay. So pseudocode ends where we stop. Okay. That means wherever the last bracket closes, that is the end of pseudocode, or wherever the last line of code is. So this one we saw sum of boys maths marks. Okay. Since we are revising this, tell me anyone has a problem understanding this pseudocode, since a lot of people were having issue with pseudocode. Anyone wants me to revise this?
No.
See, pseudocode is what? First
Ma'am,
assigns.
once can you scroll down the PDF one, ma'am, please? Next. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. I was searching about the maximum number where there was a -1 iteration. That one. So that was.
Oh, okay, that one, that ID.
Yeah.
Where we were storing ID. Yeah, why there we were actually initializing with -1 is because sequence number or ID field starts with 0. So some person already has that 0 as their ID or sequence number. So we cannot assign that as the beginning value.
Ma'am, you can assign any value that is not possible to
That
get
is
it
not
assigned.
in the data. That value we can assign initially. Like marks, we are like this sum we are assigning 0. Why? Because we haven't calculated the sum yet. Okay, like just like when we count, we assign count to 0. But ID, when we are talking about, this is something that is going to be updated. Every time we update, let's say the maximum marks, someone has scored a higher mark than the previous highest mark. So the ID has to also be updated. So we are not starting with 0 because 0 is the ID of some student. Okay, start with -1.
According to data type, we have to.
Yeah.
Initialize.
Now, in case of pseudocode, what happens? Usually, we have some variables that we assign or initialize and assign them some values. Then in this course, most of the pseudocodes you will see that they start with while loops because we are actually dealing with data sets that have a pile of cards, right? So we have to go through all the cards for maximum number of questions. So you'll see that the while loop is working. Now the main thing that happens is inside the while loop. Whatever comparisons, whatever mathematical operations. Like here we have just one comparison, the gender, and then if it is female, we are adding the sum of maths marks. Okay. This is generally how procedures work. How do you call a procedure? If this is a procedure, sum of maths marks. Okay, procedure sum maths. This is sum maths is the name of the procedure. What is this part? This is the argument or the parameter, right? That means you can pass any gender and the sum will be for that gender. So if I pass female here, then this gender here will be taken as female for when that procedure is called. Correct. So if this procedure is, first tell me, is this procedure returning something?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
It is
ma'am.
returning the sum.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
Right.
sum.
So if I call this procedure with, let's say, female as my parameter, then this will return the sum of maths marks of all girls. Correct. Where is this sum being returned to? How do we call a procedure? This I explained in last class. Anyone can tell
Yeah,
me?
ma'am.
Return sum.
We have to that a return value will be null and return value with that same data type, either integer or different.
No, I am asking that this sum that I am returning, where is it being stored?
Some maths.
Some variable, right? The variable
Some
where the
variable.
procedure is called.
Yeah.
Like here I can assign a variable x. Okay. I can assign a variable x and I can say x equals to, if I want to call the procedure, just write sum maths female. Okay. Now the sum of females maths marks will be computed and this sum that is being returned will be stored in x. Okay, this is how you call a procedure. If you don't want to store it, then you don't have to. You
Ma'am,
can just
sum is
randomly.
already variable, ma'am, and it is already stored in memory location.
But when you call it, when you call the procedure, if it is returning something, then that has to be stored somewhere.
Yeah, ma'am, we
Okay,
have
this
already
because this
initialized
no,
sum.
see this thing. This sum where it is computed. Okay, this value will be stored only till the procedure is running. If you call this procedure again, then it will again reassign sum to 0, na? So this sum, the previous sum that you called, it has to be stored somewhere, otherwise you lose that data.
Yeah,
So you
ma'am.
store it wherever you call it. Okay. So x is a variable in which I am calling the function. So this x will contain the return sum. But it is not always necessary to return for a procedure to return something. It might not return. Let's
It
say if
might,
I am just updating something, if I'm just updating some students' data by using some procedure. So the data doesn't need to be returned. Like if I want to update someone's mathematics marks, so I just call that procedure update maths marks, and let's say update that person's score to 100. So you just update the score to 100, but it is not returning anything. Return 0. Okay, nothing is being returned. So you don't have to store it anywhere. One more thing is, these are all. Do you have any doubts in this parts, like how to procedure, how to sum up physics marks, chemistry
yes.
marks? Yes, or clear?
Hello.
Yeah.
At which step we are storing this procedure?
You're not storing the procedure. You're storing what the procedure is returning. This return statement returns sum.
ma'am,
Okay.
procedure is
Just,
a function,
Rahul,
predefined function.
just hold on. I'm asking the doubt.
Okay, go on.
So, return sum you are saying, right? So, you are saying also the return sum are supposed to be stored somewhere so that I can call the procedure.
See, since
Correct?
this procedure is returning something, so it has to be called inside a variable so that the return value is stored in that variable. Okay.
Supposed to have we have to give some x equal to some marks you said, right? To call the variable again. I mean to call the sum again somewhere in position, or else yeah, right. So which step will after returning we have to store the
You don't have
variable?
to store anything. See, whenever I write this like this, whenever I call the procedure x equal to here sum physics for female, whenever I write this sum physics, this statement, whenever the control flow comes here, it will automatically go to the procedure definition. Okay, this is the procedure definition. Here it will put the parameter as f, as you have called, and it will compute the physics marks sum for female gender. Okay, and it will return the sum. This return sum will be stored in f. So next, if you in the flow of the program, if you want to access this sum, you can call x. You can use x.
Okay.
Okay,
So I
that's
can
what.
call x, right?
Yeah. Now let's say in that program only some y variable again you are calling sum of physics for male. So the sum variable inside this procedure is not going to store anything. Na? It is going to initialize sum to 0 again and then again compute the sum of physics for male. Now if you want to find what is the sum of physics marks for m, you have to go to y, print y to see what is that sum, because this will be returned here.
Okay.
Whatever variables are inside a procedure definition, their scope is only within that procedure definition, not in the rest of the program. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ma'am, ma'am, since we are initializing the sum to 0, then we making a variable sum, and that have some memory location, and that have some data that is 0 backend
These are
data.
temporary. See, these are temporary.
Temporary.
Okay. Only till the scope of this procedure
Only
is running.
within this function, this
Only the
space.
definition of the procedure, wherever this procedure is running, only this is the scope
And
of this
ma'am,
sum
I have a
variable.
doubt in definition, and that one more portion is there. From where
Definition
we have
and
to
calling procedure is different thing.
Yeah,
Definition of
ma'am.
a procedure shows that what the procedure is doing, regardless of the parameters.
Ma'am,
Okay, regardless
from
of what
where we have
parameter
to
you pass.
start? From the definition portion or
When
calling
you
portion?
write a program, when you write a procedure, in any language. Okay.
Yeah.
First, you have to define that procedure before you call it. If you call a procedure and it is not defined, then it won't do anything. It will throw an error because no such procedure exists.
And then this is a
Procedures,
definition of the procedure, and we have to
yes.
call this function
We
from.
actually call this procedure in this CT course because we are only learning pseudocodes. These are actually called functions. When you learn some programming languages like Python, C, whatever, you'll see that functions are first defined. Then only we can call a function.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
function and method.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess this slide's nothing much to summarize. See, this is the summary actually. It has given that. Last slide I will check. This one. So everything we learn here is that procedures are pseudocode templates. See, this is what I was saying. The definition is just a template. Okay. It doesn't work until you call it and pass some argument. Like that sum of physics marks. So that sum of physics marks, what was the argument? Gender. So until and unless you pass a gender, you call that procedure and pass a gender through it, nothing will execute. Okay, it is just a template. The definition of a procedure is just a template. It will work when you call it with a proper parameter.
We can use procedure for different function. Means for different
procedures
work.
are functions. You can define procedures for a lot of different things. Okay, we'll see when we go to more advanced weeks. See, delegate work by calling a procedure with appropriate parameters. That means instead of, if I didn't have this procedure, then if I wanted to find the total maths marks of males and females, I would have to write two separate programs. But in this case, the work is getting done in half the time because I just have to define the procedure once and it can work for any gender. Anytime we call it, I just have to give the argument. Okay. How do I call a procedure? Procedure call is an expression and assign return value to a variable. This is what I said. Anytime the procedure is returning something, it has to return the value to a variable itself. Like here, girls chem sum. This is the variable. Inside this, I am assigning this procedure call. Sum marks female chemistry. So this procedure will return what? Sum of chemistry marks for all girls. Where is that sum being stored? In this girl chem sum. This is where the return value is stored. But then again, there might be no useful return value in some processes, in some procedures, like if I'm updating marks. So for student with sequence number 17, update physics marks to 88. So some update marks procedure is there. But if I'm updating a marks, do I need to return anything? No. That data is already updated in my table. So that's it. So there is no need for a return statement. So in that case, I don't need to store it in a variable. I can just call the procedure randomly. Again, procedures help to modularize pseudocode. So avoid describing same process repeatedly. Like I said, you don't have to write it the same process again and again for different genders, different subjects. Just write it once and call it with different parameters. Okay. So they basically help to improve your code structure. Now, this one. This slide, see, this is not having much. It is just analysis of the top students that we did. Let's just do this one more time. What are you tell me, what are the three criterias of this three price problem? First criteria is what? Anyone?
But any one girl or one boy at least must be there.
Let's not start with that criteria. Let's start with the total marks criteria. That is more important. What is the total marks criteria? Anyone? Others also try to participate. Yeah.
They
All those three students must be top scorers.
Top scorers in total marks. Right?
In total marks, right, ma'am.
So
And
they
each
should
one
be.
of yes, ma'am. Each one of them must have been topped at least one subject.
No, man, that
Correct.
is not. Ma'am, top 3 total marks is the top 1, top 2, and top 3.
Yeah, topper in a subject means that only, no, that you have to score among the top 3 marks.
Yeah,
so
ma'am.
first thing is what they should be among the topper among top 3.
Top 3 in any
in
of
terms
the
of
3
total
subjects.
marks. In terms of total marks, this is the first criteria. Second criteria is that they should be among top 3 in at least one subject. Okay, it can be more than one. And third criteria is that one of them should be, at least one should be a boy and at least one should be a girl. These are the 3 criteria for the problem. Now we saw that three prizes problem is a big problem, so we broke it down into small modules. See, first was we learned how to find the maximum marks in some field or some subjects, like how to find the maximum marks in mathematics. For that, what did we do in a procedure? Assign some Maxwell variable, which we assigned 0. And then while pile 1 has more cards, we just iterate through all the cards, and every time we find a card which is having a greater max marks than the last card, we update Maxwell to that marks. So that at the end of the procedure, Maxwell will contain the maximum marks in maths, right? And then we return that. Okay. This procedure can be done for any subject. Since this is a general procedure, you can just change the field to maths, physics, chemistry, total, anything. Right? Any confusion in this procedure? Max marks? Yes, no, anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So analysis of top students requires what? We need to know the maximum marks in all three subjects, maths, physics, and chemistry, and total, right? And subject total was something where we were adding the maximum marks in all three. That is the subject total. So we were saying that when do we get a single topper? That if some person has scored, let's say 100 is the maximum marks scored in maths, 100 is the maximum marks scored in physics, similarly for chemistry. If some person has scored 100 in all three, then max total for that person is equal to subject total, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And one
So
more
if max
condition will be
total
there, ma'am.
becomes,
If he will top in all of these subject.
yeah, that we have to check later. Here I'm just doing a comparison between max total and subject total. If these two are same, that is subject total as well as that is the person who has scored the highest total marks is same, then there is a single topper, otherwise no. But here the main summary is this. See. Firstly, use a procedure when same computation is used for different situations. Like we were trying to find the maximum marks for maths, physics, chemistry, as well as maximum total marks. So for that, we can just run the same procedure with different parameters, right? So parameters fix the context that for which you are trying to find. Use variables to save values returned by procedures. This is the same thing that I explained, that since you are calling a procedure multiple times, same procedure, so you have to keep track of what the outcomes are, what the procedure calls are returning. So you store them in different variables like we did here. Here we are storing in max physics, max maths, max chemistry, like this. Okay. So keep track of the outcomes. Third is procedures help to modularize pseudocode. That is again same thing they have written. Avoid describing same process repeatedly. Just write one piece of code that you can call again and again with different parameters. Okay. Now the most important slide for this week is this one. So here, instead of going through, do you want me to go through all the modules separately, or do I just take the entire pseudocode and explain it for 3 prizes? Like this code. Will this be better, or? Any suggestion? Anyone wants to go like every procedure you want me to discuss separately, or do you want me to discuss this whole problem in entirety?
As you wish, ma'am.
So I will just explain this code once. If you still have problem, I will go part by part. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
See, first we have 3 different variables: max, second max, and third max. Okay. All 3 we have taken as 0. Then again we have 3 other variables: max ID, second max ID, third max ID. So these max IDs are recording what? The ID of the person who has scored the max marks, right? Max is 0. Let's say some person has scored the maximum marks, whatever it is. We need to keep track of that person's student ID also. So we assign a variable max ID for that. And we assign it the value -1, because I said I cannot assign it 0 because some person already has the, like, what do you say, the sequence number as 0. Similarly, for second max and third max, I also have to keep track of what are the student IDs. So I have these 2 variables. This is the initialization part. Next, in maths 3 variable, I am calling the procedure top 3 marks maths. What is top 3 marks procedure returning? Anyone remembers? Top 3 marks procedure returns the third highest in a subject.
3 marks in that subject.
Yeah,
Third
we
highest.
calculate the top three, but we will return only the third highest. Because if some person has scored the third highest or greater than the third highest, then they're obviously among the toppers, right? So only returning third highest is enough. So I am returning that third highest for maths, physics, and chemistry and storing them in these three variables. Maths 3, physics 3, chem 3. Now I'm iterating while pile 1 has more cards, pick a card X from pile 1. Okay. So now this is the scores data set itself. So if I pick a card, let's say I pick the first card. Next, we will check if that person is a subject topper. That means if that person has topped in at least one subject, either maths or physics or chemistry. They might have topped in more than one also. So if this returns true, when will subject topper return true? When that person has topped in at least one subject, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So if that person has topped in at least one subject, then I can move on to check the next conditions for three prizes problem, right? This is the first condition. So if it returns true, then I will go into this nested if. Nested if, what it is saying, x total is greater than max. This is the first condition we are checking. Now we know that there are three different things that can happen here, right? One is the card that you pick. The total is greater than max total. The total is greater than max, it's less than max and greater than second max. And third possibility is it is less than second max, greater than third max. So we have to check for all three. So from the first if, we are checking whether the person is a topper in at least one subject. This one condition is done. Next condition, we are checking whether that person has scored a total marks that is among the top three totals, right? So first, x dot total is greater than max. So max, second max, third max are initially all 0. So as we move through all the cards in the pile and check all these three conditions, okay, then at the end of execution, what is max, second max, and third max going to store? At the end of execution, that is, we have iterated through the entire pile.
Ma'am, the
Top three total
maximum
marks.
marks.
The max total mark, the second max total mark, and the third max total mark.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
And the corresponding IDs also in max ID, second max ID, and third max ID.
Yes, ma'am.
So since we already took care of this subject-wise topper thing, and now we have access to the data whether what is the total top three marks. So now we can tell who are the people who are contenders for the prizes. Now the only problem that is remains is what? What is the other criteria?
At
Ma'am,
least one of them
genders.
should be boy and or girl.
At least one should be a boy, at least one should be a girl. That is, they should not all three be of the same gender, right? So what we can do is, if it already the data is in such a way that there is one boy, one girl present, then great. But if it happens that it is all boys or all girls, then what do? One thing is that
Remove
you
the
move
third
the third
contender.
person. Correct. We remove the third person who was winning the prize and we repeat the entire procedure again till we find someone in the third place who is of a different gender. This is not a fair process, obviously, but this is what we will do. Okay. So every time we find all boys or all girls, we are going to remove the third contender for the prize and repeat the entire process till you find someone of a different gender in the third place. Is the procedure clear? Three prizes?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I need to explain the procedures individually? If you want, I can. Anyone?
No, ma'am, got it.
All right. See, one more slide is there that is for that side effects, right? So, but I will say that going through the slides, it is better you actually go through lecture 3.9 once. Okay. Just go through that lecture once. It is actually mostly theory based. So you go through that lecture one more time. If you have any doubt, you can send it to me. Okay. But I would say mostly in this week, focus on the three prizes problem, because even if you go through PYQs, this is the part where the problems are mostly asked from. But don't ignore 3.9. Definitely go through that lecture. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay. So
Okay, ma'am.
week 3, any question, any doubt anyone has?
Hi, ma'am.
Yeah.
Could we go to practice assignment question number 12?
Practice question number 12. Yeah, one second. This one.
Yeah, this one. The answer for this is the error in line 11. So I didn't understand what's the error in line 11.
Okay, let me read this once. Okay.
Yeah.
So following pseudocode is executed using scores dataset. At the end of execution, count M captures the number of male students whose maths marks are less than average maths marks of female students. Okay. But the pseudocode may have some mistakes. So basically what we are trying to store in count M is the number of such male students who have scored a mathematics marks which is less than average maths marks of females.
Yeah.
Okay. So things we need to calculate is average female maths mark. Right?
Yeah.
So first in the code C, we have sum and count, both set to 0. Then while pile 1 has more cards, read the top card. Sum comma count is equal to add marks equals what are the parameters you're passing is the X card that you picked, sum and count. Okay, these
Yeah.
are the variables. So once this is done, you move card to pile 2. Now what is add marks procedure doing? Go to the definition. This is add marks. So
Yeah.
add marks takes 3 things in parameters: y, sum, f, count f. So if gender is female, then sum f equals to sum f plus y dot mathematics. That is, you keep on adding the sum of maths marks of all females, right?
Yeah.
Also in count f, you keep a track of how many female students are there.
Yeah.
Okay, at the end of the procedure, you return this in the form of a list where you return what is the sum and what is the count. Why do we need sum and count? Because we need to formulate average.
Average.
So after we go through this entire while loop and calculate the sum and count, we will go and calculate average T, which is average of female maths marks sum by count. Okay.
Yeah.
Next in step 8, we initialize count M, which is the count of male students who have scored less than average T.
Yeah.
Okay. Next you, again now all the cards have been moved to pile 2. Now, so I have to iterate through pile 2 now. So while pile 2 has more cards, read the top card in pile 2. If mathematics marks is less than average of T, then count is getting increased.
Yeah.
Okay, so read top card in pile 2. But this should be correct. What is wrong in this code? Let's try to see. So count M captures number of male students. So you are not checking the gender. That is the wrong thing here. Okay. How do I know that this is a gender? X dot mathematics can be anyone's card, right? So step 11 should ideally be that you check if gender is male.
Oh, okay. Okay, got
Then
it.
you go to X dot maths.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other? Okay. So I hope week 3 is clear to you, everything. I hope there are no doubts. So next class we will start week 4 on Monday. Okay. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you please share your mail ID so that if I have any doubt, I
Yeah,
can...
yeah. I'll share it in chat box. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay. See, I have shared the mail ID. Okay. All right.
Thank you, ma'am.